All right, I'm about to ask you a question, and I want you to answer it to the best of your ability. You ready for this? You ready? All right, let's get it. Can you tell me who you are without telling me what you do? Oh, it's hard, huh? That's freaking hard, and it's slightly depressing if we admit. Don't feel bad. Do not feel bad. Trust me, you are not alone. I spent like 40 minutes trying to introduce myself to an invisible person without saying what I do. Look, this is what I realized, man. We've been trained to view ourselves as human doings instead of human beings, right? Our personalities are like freaking LinkedIn profiles at this point. I'm the founder, I'm the co founder, I'm the creator, I'm the freaking manager of Dunder Mifflin. I am city council Leslie Nope. It's like, who are you though? Who am I? Those are not our identities. Those are just jobs and titles, man. Actions that you perform. I asked myself, I'm like, Steve, if you couldn't tell anyone about your results or your plans, what would you talk about? And that was hard for me. That was hard for me to answer because I try to only do things that I'm passionate about. So naturally in conversation, what I do is going to come up because like when you're passionate about what you do, your job is kind of a huge part of who you are. So it's like, how do I separate the two? And I have a hard time doing that. And I don't think it's a bad thing, though. I will say that. I don't think it's a bad thing. It just means that you've learned how to monetize your passion, which is something that not many people know how to do or um, take the time to figure out how to do. Now, society may feel some type of way about that. You may get comments like, your whole life is your work. But if you like what you do, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like I said, another part of you, a huge part of you. But this is an important topic to keep in mind because you don't want to get in a position where you look up one day and you have become a total stranger to yourself. That's the tricky part about that. That's a scary place to be in. I went through this slightly during the pandemic. Um, I'll tell you a quick story. I moved to LA in 2019 to go all in with entertainment. And prior to that, I had been making music since like, oh man, since I was like 9 years old, right? And I started acting in college and then I started doing comedy skits online like 2013, 2014. So my whole identity was wrapped up in entertainment at this point. I'm the entertainer guy. Steve's the funny guy. So when I moved to LA in 2019, I hit the ground running. I started making connections. I'm taking every gig I can get. I'm background acting in music videos. I was a freaking clapper in the audience on plenty game shows. Pretty much everywhere where you saw a camera, I was there. I was moving and grooving, baby. And then the world shut down, which meant the studio shut down, which meant Steve shut down. And I just went into this sad, dark place, man. I felt like a part of me died a little bit. I was so stressed, dude. I didn't know what to do. I just started drinking like a lot. I was drinking every day and not like a beer here and there either. I'm talking I would fall asleep with a Four Loco in my hand. Yeah, your boy was going through it. And to the kids out there, stay away from Four Locos because they would drop you loco. But I think I went through that because of this, what we're talking about right now. My whole life was wrapped up in being the entertainer, and I felt like if I wasn't entertaining, I wasn't living. And that's not what I should have been thinking or feeling. But I didn't know any better. You got to separate it. You got to separate it. If you're not going to separate it like wholeheartedly, at least separate it in your mind. Because I don't know if I'll ever be able to separate it wholeheartedly because entertaining and teaching and whatever this is that you call this that I'm doing now, it's such a huge part of me that I can't turn it off, man. But also, I don't want it to be all of me. I don't know, y'all. I'm still getting through this, but I just wanted to talk about it because maybe you're feeling the same way, or maybe somebody out there is feeling this too. And I do understand that you have to fully embody what you do if you really trying to shake things up, right? You really trying to go to the next level in your career. You kind of don't have time to separate the two. You have to be on. But you might become a pro at what you do, but are you becoming the person who you actually want to be? You know, don't mistake being good at your job for being good to yourself. When your identity is tied to your work, your self worth becomes like sort of a roller coaster. At least mine did. I mean, it still does, to be honest with you, if I'm being transparent. Sometimes you might start thinking something is wrong with you when in reality, it might just be a bad day at the office. It's almost like your self worth becomes a stock price. If you had a really productive day, your stock is through the roof. If you didn't, stocks plummet. Feel like you're trash, you know? Man, that is not life. That's a constant performance review. And that can weigh on your psyche. Trust me, I know. How many times you see a rich and famous person like, man, they was on the top of the world and they just unalive themselves. It's like they have the what, but they have completely lost the who. So here's a few questions that I have been asking myself to kind of help me gain clarity around this area of my life. And I want to share them with you because hopefully it might help you gain clarity in this area as well. So here we go. Question number one. Who am I when I'm not being useful? Mm. Who am I when I'm not being useful? Question number two. What do I love when there's no way to monetize it? Mm. Even if I wasn't getting paid for this thing or that thing, what do I love? Question number three. What do I believe when there's no one to impress? Mm. That's a good one right there. What do I actually believe when there's no one to impress? When there's no reason for me to think if I'm saying the right answer or the wrong answer to somebody or who. Doesn't that feel so freeing when you think about it or even say it? Say it. What do I believe when there's no one to impress? I think what this comes down to is, and I may be wrong, but I think most of us are terrified of being a nobody. But we need to make sure that we're not so busy trying not to be a nobody that we forget to be somebody that matters to us, like somebody we love. Like when we look in the mirror, we love that person, not the goals that that person has achieved. That person. That's it. You got to separate them because you don't want to just be a collection of achievements in a suit, or if you're a woman in a pantsuit or a pencil skirt, whatever you prefer. You get the point. Now, one might say that everything that we talked about today is just the cost of greatness. Like you have to be one with what you do to truly become great at it. So I guess we have to all individually ask ourselves, are we willing to pay that cost? Mm. And let me be clear, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that question. It's personal. And for me, let me see. Let me see. Am I willing to pay the cost or continue paying that cost, I should say? I'm gonna say yeah, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna say yeah. I am willing to pay that cost. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'm being 100% transparent right now. I just think I'm an all-in type of person though, right? Like right now in my life, that's how I feel. But come back and ask me that same question in 10 years, it might be a different answer. I think I'm willing to pay that price, but I'll also keep this topic in mind while I'm paying that cost. Like it's almost like I'm gonna try to keep them separate in my mind, but I understand that I may have to sacrifice more than the average person when it comes to this aspect of my life. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But being aware is important. But regardless, this was a very introspective, thought provoking episode, if I do say so myself. What do y'all think? I think this was pretty, it gives you something to think about as we move through this journey. Hopefully, this helps someone gain clarity if they've been feeling strange in that area. But thank you guys, as always, for being here. Thank you for being you. And thank you for hearing me out.